Hey there guys, Darkbean here, welcome back to more Fate Stay Night. In the last one, Archer Zero showed up, murked Caster and then went, Lamau GG fight me bro. And we kind of just like, well that wasn't last time, but you know what I mean. And then yeah, we just kind of talked about like, what are we gonna do guys? He's really strong, he's gonna kill us, I don't know what to do. But yeah, that's the gist, you know, we don't know how to beat him. Yeah. Also, really quick, I want to talk about the reason why the perspective of these Fate videos constantly changes is just because OBS sucks. I'm just gonna say that right now. OBS is so annoying. Whenever I sit down to record one of these, only for Fate, because I've had to start doing display captures. Just because I have the black screen issue, and it just doesn't work. I've tried everything to fix it, and I've had the black screen issue before, and I've fixed it before. Which if you don't know what the black screen issue is, it's essentially if I try to capture a specific window, it just doesn't. It refuses to do anything. But for everything else, I just full screen everything, and then I just display capture to capture my specific monitor. That's why you can always notice, like, say, like, if I'm playing, like, Resident Evil, it shows this at the very top of, like, every video, because that's just, like, how it's displayed. And so, like, but with this, for some reason, whenever I go full screen, it just doesn't change anything on, like, for some reason, it's so hard to explain. Basically, when I first boot up Fate Stay Night, it's like in a tiny square at the top of the screen, okay? And then I can go and click this little button, and then I can hit windowed mode, okay? And windowed mode is that full screen is what you're seeing essentially right now, where it takes the entire screen, at least for me. But then on OBS, for some reason, it doesn't do that. It just, it keeps Fate Stay Night right here in the top corner, and then the rest of the screen is black. Anyways, so I have to manually set it up every single time I record this. But yeah, with that being said, let's just get into it. Then I'll go back to my room. Let's have the complicated talk tomorrow after Ilya wakes up. After messing a lot with Saber, she drinks the bitter tea and stands up. Yeah, go to sleep. Don't come back. Yeah, I'll leave the rest to you then. I don't know what's so funny, but Tosaka leaves in a good mood. What are you gonna do, Shiro? You should not push yourself even if your wounds have healed, so I think you should rest for tonight. Yeah, that's my plan. But I'll watch over Ilya for a bit longer. I'll move her to a room if there doesn't seem to be any problem, and I'll go to bed after that. I see. Then I shall accompany you. Our conversation ends there. It gets really awkward once it's quiet, as Tosaka is the loud one. No, awkward isn't the right word. There are things I'm worried about and things I need to say, so my mind is impatient. Come to think of it, what I want to tell her is all in a mess. About the Holy Grail, about her still being alive. Even if she does obtain the Holy Grail, there's no salvation for the girl called Artoria. I don't even need to say why. She has no wish for herself, even now. Saber, about what we were discussing before. Our eyes meet. Her awkward eyes seem to know what I'm going to say. Yes, what is it, Shiro? She tries to block my question with a calm voice. But I have to tell her. About what we were saying earlier, Tosaka said it too, that servants can stay if they obtain the Holy Grail, alright? Then... No, I have no intention of staying here. I will return to my original time once I obtain the Holy Grail. And you're going to redo the selection of the king? You're going to start everything over and not save yourself on the verge of death. Right, it is the duty of a king to protect the country. My powers were not enough, so I must at least select an appropriate king in my place. Her words really make me angry. You idiot, wake up! The duty of the king doesn't matter. You're here, so you should do what you want to now. I won't allow you to have any other goals. You're strong, right? Then finish this battle quickly, obtain the Holy Grail, and quit being a servant. If you have a wish, don't go back to the past and redo everything. If you want to change yourself, don't change the past, but change who you are now. Saber doesn't answer. She gives a small sigh. You are obstinate, Shiro. I want you to stop bringing this up. She firmly rejects my opinion. It is not as if one can stay if one obtains the Holy Grail. Archer, That servant does not remain in this time because of the Holy Grail. It was impossible for anyone to obtain the Holy Grail in the last war. Saber, what does that... It is impossible to obtain what does not exist. On that day, when the town was in flames, the Holy Grail was destroyed by the master who betrayed me, Emiya Kiritsugu. My vision closes in. I hold my body steady with my hands as it's about to fall. Emiya Kiritsugu? Yes. He was my master 10 years ago in the previous Holy Grail War. I won to the end, and the Holy Grail came into Kiritsugu's hands. Archer and his master still remained, so the Holy Grail War should have been ended by their defeat. But Kiritsugu threw the Holy Grail away. As a result, the town went into flames. That man ordered me to destroy the Holy Grail, because servants are the only ones who can touch the Holy Grail. Kiritsugu used his last command spell to force me to destroy the Holy Grail. Servants cannot stay in this world once the Holy Grail disappears. Kiritsugu did not try to keep me here either. My memory ends there. I cannot ask him about the betrayal, nor settle my match against Archer. Well, it's not like I never thought about it. Father was a Magus. If he lived in this town all his life, he must have been involved in a Holy Grail War. But still, why didn't you tell me that my father was a Master Saber? Usually a servant does not hold memories of previous summonings. The same hero will not be summoned as a servant again. I am an exception to this rule, so I believed I should not mention this fact to you, Shiro. I did not wish to tell you what kind of master Kiritsugu was. Why wouldn't you want to tell me? Shiro, as you have seen my past in your dreams, I also saw your past. I was surprised by your past, but I could not believe how much Kiritsugu had changed. Emiya Kiritsugu is a great person in your memories, but he's not like that in my memories. To state it simply, he was a typical Magus. He was only interested in his objectives, and he eliminated everything in his way. I could not see any human emotion in him. He only spoke to me 3 times during the whole war. I do not think I need to tell you when he spoke to me. He was not cruel, nor a born killer, but he did not have anything that you would call emotion. Just as he treated me only as a tool, he treated himself only as an object. Kiritsugu killed every emotion and killed every enemy. I do not know what he believed in to make him do so, but he ordered me to destroy the Holy Grail when it was in front of him. To be honest, I have never cursed the command spell or a master who has betrayed me, more than I did at that time. There's some truth in Saber's words. No, they must be all true. Come to think of it, I don't know what Kiritsugu was like before that time 10 years ago. I couldn't guess anything about him before that time, and I saw no need to learn about such things. It doesn't change a thing, even if Kiritsugu was cold-hearted. The man that adopted me was really childlike, so my memory is my only truth. But what hurts my heart is, if Kiritsugu was really a cold person, his last moments were just too empty. Let's see, maybe I was able to summon you because I'm his son. I do not know. Kiritsugu summoned me in a legitimate way. As Kiritsugu's aptitude as a master was high, he was hired by a Magus family with a long history and entered the Holy Grail War. I heard that everything he needed to become a master was provided by that family. They had excavated King Arthur's artifact from Cornwall and gave it to Kiritsugu to use in the Holy Grail War. Kiritsugu used it as a catalyst to summon me. So Kiritsugu himself does not have any factor to summon me, nor is his attribute close to mine. You probably summoned me because of some other factor. I get it. It's not too surprising that Father used to be a master. What's surprising is that servant was King Arthur, the one standing in front of me right now. One more thing. Saber said that the Holy Grail was destroyed. Then isn't this war completely meaningless? I don't get it. You already knew there's no Holy Grail anymore, right? So why did you decide to take part in this ridiculous battle? I certainly do not know if the Holy Grail actually exists, but it would be strange for there to be no Holy Grail if I'm summoned. Have you forgotten, Shiro? I became a servant to obtain the Holy Grail. To put it another way, I will not be summoned unless the Holy Grail is present. Well then. The Holy Grail can restore itself even if it's destroyed? No, the Holy Grail is not something easily replaceable. It would be impossible for a destroyed Holy Grail to be restored. Then... But it should exist. Servants are summoned since they are drawn to the Holy Grail. Servants would not exist if there is no Holy Grail. The priest said so as well. Priest? Oh, him. Supervisor of the Holy Grail War, living at the church. That man that manages the Holy Grail must be able to answer all my questions. The end of the previous war. What happened to the destroyed Holy Grail and to the servant Archer? And yes, what did Kiritsugu see at the end of the battle to make him destroy the Holy Grail? I wake up alone. Even if she has recovered, Saber still has to sleep periodically. She went to bed right away after that, and I went to bed too to relieve Saber. That was an hour ago. It's past midnight. I'll be able to sneak out without Saber or Tosaka finding out now. Sneak out to go where? Where are you going to go? I know you know that there's only... well, wait, they never talked about what happened to Lancer. So there's potentially 2 servants left. And you're just gonna go out? Okay. I go out without making a sound. I thought about using the bicycle, but it'd be a problem if I wake them up by doing so. I guess I'll walk there. There's no one around. Even if it's midnight, the silence is abnormal. The air is frozen, and I can't sense any life from any of the buildings. On the other hand, I feel a contradictory heat under the roads if there's a whirlpool or if something black. Has something happened to the town in a few days I was held at Ilya's place? It feels like ill omens are everywhere. It's not just me. I look up the mountains in the distance. The Ryudo Temple, which is far away from the city, just looks like a black lump from here. It's just that. It seems like it's throbbing along with the night wind. I cross the dark river and walk to Shinto. That's right, it's already been 10 days since then. That night I first met Saber and walked on this bridge with Tosaka seems like so long ago. Yeah, it seems like a couple months, almost a year actually for me. I see the church. I've never been to the church, even though I told Tosaka that. I do have a connection to this church. I was supposed to be entrusted to the church and adopted somewhere later. The Emiya household or the church? Come to think of it, it was a big turning point. 10 years ago, all the children of that hospital were orphans. They were all temporarily entrusted to the church. I was the only one of them adopted from the hospital. That must be why. I felt kind of guilty and unconsciously avoided the church. That's why I told Tosaka it was my first time visiting the church on the night 11 days ago. The lights in the church are still on. I don't like that priest, but there's something I need to ask him. Well, let's go. I take a deep breath and go through the heavy doors. Priest Kotomine, are you here? I keep on walking while I call out. Can't sense anyone in the chapel. Even though the lights are on, it's so big and quiet that I feel more afraid than I would be in complete darkness. Hey, is anyone here? There's no reply. I can't go any further, so maybe I should give up and go home for tonight. I instantly turn toward the sound. So, it is Amiyashiro. What are you doing here at this time? The sudden encounter leaves me speechless. It is late. I was going to sleep. But this is Kotomine. But your expression suggests that you seek confession here. Kotomine says so and returns to the door he emerged from. Oh, no, wait, I had something I wanted to ask you. I know, you will not turn anyone away, even if they come at odd hours. I will not turn anyone away. So saying, Kotomine opens the door to the back of the chapel. Follow me. I'm sure it has something to do with the Holy Grail War. I cannot have us talk about such bloody subjects here. Even though we talked about things here, last time you were here. Kotomine disappears into the back without waiting for my reply. I've come this far, so I can't go back empty-handed. I renew my determination not to be intimidated by Kotomine and follow him. Wow. The outside was brilliant, but the inside is exquisite as well. Is this a courtyard? There's a park and passageway that seem too elegant for Kotomine to live in alone. What are you doing? Come here if you have something to talk about. The priest turns yet another corner. Damn, he really doesn't wait. I follow him, complaining. The church is like a small maze, so I have to follow him obediently. It's a modest room made of stone. The inelegant room seems to be Kodamine's. I hate the way he, like, peeks out of the frame. I am unfortunately out of alcohol. I have nothing to welcome you with, but forgive me. Kodamine says so while sitting down. Is this a faint smell of wine? You must really like it if the smell is lingering in this room. What? Did you have something to talk to me about? It is bothering. It is bothersome if you just stand there dumbfounded. I'm not dumbfounded. I was just surprised by this room. Now go home right away. I'm like, listen, I apologize. I have no water right now. I'll go home right away once our business is done, is what he said. Good. I do not have enough leisure time to socialize with children either. Keep your questions concise. As expected, I hate this guy. It feels like he can read my mind, and I feel intimidated when I talk to him. So, what is it that you want to talk about, Emiyashiro? I believe I've already told you everything I can. Don't lie. You must have known about it. My father was Saber's master, and he destroyed the Holy Grail. You're the supervisor that manages the Holy Grail, so you must. Oh, did Saber say that? Yeah, I heard that's how the previous Holy Grail War ended. The priest sinks into silence as if pondering. It is unusual for a servant to retain their previous memories. Maybe Saber is a failure, or Saber herself is abnormal. Either way, you cannot claim she is a normal servant. Heroic spirits do not retain memories. There would be contradictions if they did, since they are summoned into many ages, the past, present, and future. All they have are memories from when they were alive. Anything that happens to them after they become a heroic spirit do not remain in their memories. The priest ponders as he must not assent to the fact. I see. He doesn't know that Saber isn't a complete heroic spirit yet, so he's having trouble understanding. No, that's wrong. It seems that Saber's circumstances are different from other servants. Different circumstances? I see, so that must be why you came here. Alright, go ahead. I don't like his haughty attitude, but this is no time to oppose him. I don't like it, but this priest might give me some answers. It seems Saber isn't dead yet. She still hasn't completed the contract to become a heroic spirit. Something like she wished for the Holy Grail on the verge of her death, and she agreed to become a heroic spirit as a price for obtaining it. So she isn't dead yet. She won't die until she obtains the Holy Grail, and she says she'll become a complete servant when she does so. Not dead? That must mean Saber is still in the cycle of rebirth, though she is not removed from the concept of time like her other heroic spirits. Right, I think that's it. Tosaka said Saber's frozen in time by herself. I see. So rather than disappearing after she accomplished something, she continues to be summoned as a heroic spirit until she obtains the Holy Grail. But the Holy Grail has not yet been obtained, so she returns to her deathbed every time she fails. But she's been summoned to this time as well, bearing all her previous memories. Obtaining the Holy Grail in order to die. I do not understand heroes. And even if she does obtain it, all that is left for her is to be summoned as a servant. That's right. Even if she does obtain the Holy Grail and gets her wish granted, she'll just become like the other servants, right? I don't like that. Anyways, what are servants? They say it's making heroes your familiars, but can that even be possible for a contradictory hero like Saber? I do not understand the system. Eternal continuation of the soul. The servant system is constructed by imitating that secret process. Only the Divisor would know about this. Only the Divisor. I'm just thinking about, like, everything I know about Fate, and just, like, essentially just trying to understand what they're saying, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's just continue. Eternal continuation of the soul? No, that is just the past. It has nothing to do with this matter, so forget about it. So, Emiyashiro, you were saying that you want her to stop being a servant, correct? Did he guess right? I certainly think Saber's situation is strange. It's fine that she wants to obtain the Holy Grail, but all that awaits her is elimination. If a king other than King Arthur is chosen, and King Arthur is no more, I think it's wrong for her to be summoned as the hero King Arthur after that. So if she can stop being a servant and live as a normal human being, that is impossible. Dead people will not come back to life. Even if her time is stopped, Saber is already dead for us. The power of the Holy Grail summons her into this time because she accepted the price of becoming a heroic spirit. If she does not seek the Holy Grail, she will not be summoned as a servant. And as long as she seeks the Holy Grail, she will become a complete servant sooner or later. Even if she fails this time, she has infinite chances. Since Saber is still in the loop of time, she cannot be in 2 chances to obtain the Holy Grail at once, and she cannot redo a chance she has already failed. She will fail a chance she has already failed, no matter how many times she tries. Once she has experienced the result, she will not be able to change it. But still, it should only be a matter of time before she obtains the Holy Grail. This is not the only opportunity for her. Trials to obtain the Holy Grail exist in all ages. If she continues to challenge each one, she will obtain the Holy Grail. From the beginning, she is being summoned as a heroic spirit because she obtains the Holy Grail as a result. From the moment she appeared in front of you, there was no way to stop her from becoming a servant. I thought so. As long as Saber seeks the Holy Grail, there's no way to stop her from being a servant. After all, she'll continue like this until Saber herself decides the Holy Grail for her own sake. Wait, decides? Wait. To use the Holy Grail for her own sake. Even as the Holy Grail war ends and there's no need to fight anymore, she will go on to the next chance to obtain the Holy Grail if she cannot obtain it this time. Once she obtains it, she'll become this heroic spirit thing and be sent out to many ages. Then she'll continue to be a servant whether she obtains the Holy Grail or not. No, that is not the case. If the Holy Grail is truly omnipotent, it will be able to save Saber. Huh? But you just said that was impossible. Yes, it is impossible to stop Saber from becoming a servant. But your wish is for her to stay in this world, is it not? It is not that difficult. You are able to keep her as a human even after the Holy Grail war ends. Although she will return when she dies. How do I do that? The heroic spirits and servants are spurious. Okay. Normally what is summoned as a heroic spirit does not have a mind. It is summoned as a tool to meet an objective and disappears. But servants are different. They are the true body summoned by the Holy Grail, so they live as humans just by keeping them in this world. You can do such a thing? Saber said she disappeared when the Holy Grail was destroyed. Isn't it true that servants can't stay if the Holy Grail is gone? Of course, the Holy Grail merely summons these servants, and it is not the role of the Master to maintain them after that. But that is possible only because the Holy Grail is aiding the Master. The magical energy of a Magus is not enough to maintain a servant. If one does not have a donor called the Holy Grail, their servant will disappear. I thought so, then... No, you do not have enough. All you need to do is compensate for that. For servants, furnishing magical energy is only an act of compensation. Their true nature to consume souls. If their existence starts to fade, it can be replenished using other souls. Well, does that mean attacking random people like Shinji did? Don't be ridiculous, I can't do such a thing. First of all, Saber wouldn't want to stay if she had to go that far. I see, then you have to use the contents of the Holy Grail. It is simple. If you want Saber to live as a human being, have her consume the Holy Grail. You must have predicted my response. The priest's expression tells me he was waiting to reach this conclusion from the beginning. You mean have the Holy Grail grant my wish? No, it has nothing to do with your wish. It is the contents of the Holy Grail itself. Did you not hear from Reen? Servants are able to start a second life by drinking the water of the Holy Grail. That only means they have to become a familiar summoned in this age. Their bodies will still be that of servants, but they will be able to stay in this world as long as their master is alive. But that means... that hasn't solved anything. Even if she can stay in this world, it's meaningless if she's still a servant. She can't exist without magical energy from her master, and even if she stays in this world like that, she returns to that hill after she dies. And Saber wouldn't do it. She isn't interested in a second life, and she says she's going to use the Holy Grail for another purpose. Oh, but first of all, the key to everything is the Holy Grail. Does it mean it still exists in this world? I get it. That just means I have to obtain the Holy Grail, right? But does the Holy Grail still exist? If my father destroyed it, then... then what? If there's no Holy Grail, there's no reason to fight. This ridiculous fight is pointless, isn't it? You have no reason to fight, huh? Why do you say that now? You had no reason to fight from the very beginning. As he says so, time freezes. No reason to fight? That's what this priest told me before. At that time, I just became a master and didn't have much of a reason to fight. That's why I ignored it and thought it was just sarcasm. But what about now? I have a reason to fight if there is a Holy Grail. I want to end this fight and give it to Saber. I have a reason to fight. I have a reason to fight. So why did his words make my body shake so much that I want to vomit? Well, forget about that for now. Now is not the time to open up your wounds. I hear a voice I don't want to hear, but it makes my mysterious nausea stop. There's the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is only a vessel anyways. If it goes away, the Preparer will prepare another one. The Preparer will prepare another one? Is the Holy Grail that easy to make? Just making the vessel is. Of course, one needs an appropriate skill, but the Holy Grail could not come to being without such skill. First of all, the Holy Grail is not a cup to receive the blood. Oh gosh, this is so long. This is such a long episode. First, it is not a cup that received the blood of God. It was based on a magical pot passed down from ancient times. I did not mean to hit that. You should know about it if you are a magus. Utopia. It means an unreachable place in Greek. It is said that an omnipotent vessel exists there, and there were magi who tried to reproduce this omnipotent vessel. They were the three family, Ainsburn, Makiri, and Tosaka. They spent many generations researching the ritual to reproduce the omnipotent vessel, and completed it 200 years ago. That was the first Holy Grail War, the ritual that summoned the omnipotent vessel to the artificial Holy Grail to open up the path. Ainsburn? You mean Ilya's family? Yes, the Einburns specialize in this golden rule of the line. They are the best suited to make an imitation of the Holy Grail, but they cannot summon the Holy Grail with just that. They need a suitable land and a strong curse. The ones who provided these were the Tosaka and the Makiri. At that time, the Church and the Magical Association were in the middle of a bloody war. A far eastern land was chosen as the place for this ritual. Ainsburn must have invited Tosaka in because Tosaka was in charge of the land around here, and their master was a master of summoning. For Ainsburn, the summoning of the Holy Grail would be impossible without the help of Tosaka. But betrayal could easily occur with two families involved. They must have thought three should be involved as they brought in the Makiri family. The Makiris are a family with history as well. They were the family most skilled with familiars. It was they that came up with the command spell to bind the servants. And they worked together to summon the Holy Grail. But when they succeeded, what came after was a bloody killing. The first summoning of the Holy Grail ended while they were busy killing each other. As generations passed, they made rules called the Holy Grail War, and went back to cooperating, at least in form. Tosaka provided this land and the system to model the servants, and Makiri provided the command spell to bind these servants, and Ainsburn supplies the vessels for the Holy Grail to dwell in. That is the cooperation they decided on. The priest continues happily as if something pleases him. But I see, they say the Holy Grail is a ritual, but Ilya's family was the original proposer? So that is it. It was the Einburns that prepared the Holy Grail. As they were betrayed by Kiritsugu last time, they have thrown in their greatest trump card. The daughter of Ainsburn probably holds the Holy Grail. Ilya has the Holy Grail? That's weird, I don't think she had anything with her. Well, are you happy now? You do not know what troubles you. But the only way to solve it is to use the Holy Grail. Now that you know that, go home. The battle's not yet over. You are crazy to be walking around without Saber by your side. That's none of your business. I know there's still Lancer's Master. Hold on, there's one more thing I need to ask him. Kodamine, servants will disappear once the Holy Grail disappears. That's what you said, right? Yes, do you have a problem with that? I do. I don't know who it is, but there's an 8th servant. According to Saber, he has remained in this world since the previous war. It must have been a surprise. Kodamine opens his eyes and mutters in disbelief. What's going on? I came here since I thought you would know. So you were saying there's a servant that did not disappear? It is not that strange. The previous war ended with Saber destroying the Holy Grail. So in other words, there was another servant left. Saber disappeared by her own will. But if a servant wished to stay, then the answer is simple. He must have acquired the magical energy he needed by feeding on souls and lived these past 10 years. That's ridiculous. His presence was absurd. You or my father certainly would have noticed that that thing had been around for 10 years. I know, someone was probably hiding him. The servant's master, or what? A magus who knew about the Holy Grail War, but did not become a master. I knew one such person, but that is impossible as well. The old Makiri has already retired. Kodamine must be satisfied as he gets up from the sofa. This is it. I cannot let this be as a supervisor. I shall investigate that servant. You should concentrate on your remaining battle with Lancer. Kodamine walks to the exit as if there's nothing more to talk about. I agree. Please let the scene end so I can end the episode and get water. Well, there's certainly nothing more to be gained from being here. I leave the dark room, follow Kodamine, who leads me to the exit silently. Okay, with that being said, I'm just gonna end the episode there because it's gone on for really long and I'm really thirsty. Bye bye.